Lastly, we are going to learn how to write an absolute value function from a graph. Okay. When we are given a graph of an absolute value function, we will write the function including either a vertical stretch compression or a horizontal stretch or compression, not both. We are always going to write functions as if there is a vertical stretch or compression occurring, so we will use the general function g of x equals a times the absolute value of x minus h plus k. In other words, we are only going to be solving using an a value. If there happens to be a b value, it will be given to you. I will not ask you to solve for b for now. So let's go ahead and write the absolute value function for each graph. For example, a, here is our function. We are going to follow a series of steps in order to help us identify what our function is. So step one is to write out your skeleton equation, which we will then go in and fill out. So general skeleton equation is our g of x function. G of x equals a times the absolute value of x minus h plus k. In the end, we will end up substituting an a, h, and k value that will be a representation of the given graph. Step two is to identify h and k from the vertex and substitute them into the equation. So identifying our vertex, okay, our vertex is located at +2, +5, okay, which means this is our h and k values, right? We can go ahead and substitute them. So g of x equals a times the absolute value of x minus h, which is 2, plus k, which is 5. Step 3 is to pick a different point on the graph to identify an x value and a g of x value and substitute them into the equation. Okay, and this is done in conjunction with step 4 because this is how we are solving for a. Okay, now looking at our graph, you can see that we have a point that's already given to us, 6, 6. So we're going to use that. Okay, 6, 6 is going to take the place of x and g of x. Remember, function notation, g of x is the same as y. So we're going to plug those into our skeleton equation, which we have listed here, which means that it is now going to read 6 equals a times the absolute value of x, which is 6, minus 2 plus 5. And this is going to allow us to solve for a. So we're going to simplify and isolate a. Okay, order of operations. Simplifying inside of the absolute value, 6 minus 2 is 4 plus 5. Okay, a times the absolute value of 4 is simply 4a plus 5. Subtract 5. We have 1 equal to 4a. Divide by 4. And you can see that our a value is 1/4. Okay. Last step is to write the final equation with the correct values for a, h, and k. So in other words, what is the function that represents this graph? That means our function is g of x is equal to a, which is 1/4, times the absolute value of x minus h, which was 2, plus k, which was 5. This here is our final answer. Okay, our function is g of x equals 1/4 times x minus 2 plus 5. Okay, let's do one more together. Let's do b. All right, first of all, remember, start off with your skeleton function. Until you memorize this, write it down. G of x equals a times the absolute value of x minus h plus k. Identify your vertex. And I'm going to do this all at once so that you can see how you can save time as you go. Our vertex is located at 1, 6. Remember, this is going to take the place of h and k. And then our additional point listed is 0, 3. This is going to take the place of x and g of x. Okay, and this will allow us to solve for a. So let's plug these in. We're going to plug in all 4 at once into the equation. So g of x is 3, and I'll use a different color as I go. 3 equals a times the absolute value of x, which was 0, minus h, which was 1, plus k, which is 6. Okay, and then we're going to simplify. So 3 equals a times 0 times negative 1, or minus 1 is negative 1, plus 6. Absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1. A times 1 is just a. Subtract 6 from both sides, and you get a equal to negative 3. Okay, now put it all together. Remember, when it comes to substituting and writing the function, we only substitute a, h, and k. G of x and x remain as g of x and x. So the function that represents this graph is g of x equals a times the absolute value of x minus h plus k. This here, g of x equals negative 3 times the absolute value of x minus 1 plus 6. Okay, so here is C, right? I will start you off. I will help you here. Your vertex is here. Look at your units. You can see that your units are by 2's on both the x and y axis. So this point is located at negative 5, negative 1, right on the center. Okay. An additional point you can use, and you have many, you can take your pick. I have these points crossing here. We have this point here, this point here. Take your pick. You can pick any one of those. So if I label these, this is negative 4, positive 1. This one over here is negative 6, positive 1. Up here, we have negative 1, positive 5. Or you have negative 8, positive 5. So take your pick, substitute, fill in for g of x, x, h, and k, solve for a, and then write out your final equation. So hit the pause button. Once you are done, come back and check your answer. All right, for your graph, you should have 2 times the absolute value of x plus 5 minus 1. Okay, and it did not matter what point you chose to use, they would all give you an a value of 2, as long as you remembered to make your h a positive 5 in here, right? Because when we substitute x minus negative 5, it turns into that positive 5. Okay, always make sure to check your signs, make sure you are doing it correctly.